And let's go. Yep.
Let's go.
Oh, hold on. Did that fix it? Yeah.
You did.
All right.
Also, good place got Ted Danson, who we talked about last night on the pod.
Motherfucking Becker.
We went to
Ted Danson.
we went to
The
San Diego last night.
is it Bored to Death? Is that the one with Zach
With Zach
Galifianakis,
Galifianakis. Yep.
Yeah,
Ted Danson and Jason Schwartzman?
yeah.
This is the perfect start to Gambletown, by the way, because we are on air as we're having this Ted Danson conversation.
I mean, well, we're talking about it because we were about to give the honorary key to the city to Blake Bortles.
That's
It's
right.
true.
Like a very Gambletown favorite. Very,
Yes.
very big fan of Gamble. Yes. Oh my God, football is back.
Oh, I'm so
Are you
excited.
feeling it? Oh, I'm so happy. And it started with the Lions winning,
Yeah.
so
We had
all
such a
bets are
tease
off.
on Thursday night. Oh my god, that game was awesome. I knew that. I had a feeling about that game.
You know, the one thing I loved watching that game is I had a $1 bet on Aiden Hutchinson as the defensive player of the year at plus 3,000. So I make $31 if
Nice.
Aiden Hutchinson, and based on how that right tackle was moving a second before every snap, I like his chances.
Yeah.
He was a machine.
He was. So we're back at Gambletown, season 3 of Gambletown.
Yeah.
And we're gonna start with our season long like futures bets, which we checked. These are still bets you can make if you're so inclined. Waleed, why don't you? We're just gonna go through one that we really like. Waleed, why don't you start?
I'm gonna give you guys my favorites one. I kind of want to go with some of the crazy ones, but I think this is one that has a little juice on it, and is such a solid bet. Drake London at plus 1,000 receiving yards. Not his regular over, but I'm adding a little juice. You get plus 210 if Drake London has 1,000 or more yards.
Yeah, it's
receiving.
his alternate season line. Yeah.
Yeah, his alternate season line. And I think that's a nice place to get it because Drake London, like, if he stays healthy, based on like some of his year one metrics, he should be a top 12 receiver this year. Like, he was the number one receiver taken in that draft. He's a monster. I like betting on that year two jump. And I feel
Bold
like he's the guy who
predictions.
might be the most likely to do it. So
Okay.
Who's passing
210.
him the ball though?
I know, Desmond Ritter, but it doesn't matter. You know who's not passing him the ball? Marcus Mariota. So it's already so much better. Like, and if you wanna look at it, 3 of his last 4 games of the season, he was averaging like 90 yards and a touchdown
Yeah,
with Desmond Ritter.
sure. Ryan, what's your season long prop that you like?
All right. So if you've been listening to me and Tony's pod, you know that I am not a Calvin Ridley believer. All right. I do not believe that he's going to emerge as the Jaguars' number 1 wide receiver this year. So with that said, I will be taking Christian Kirk's alternate line and taking him at plus 210 to finish at over 1,000 yards on the season.
Love it.
His line right now I think was around 850, something like that.
It was 825 and a half when I
was
got
gonna
it.
say,
Okay.
based
Yeah.
on the juice, it's the exact same as Drake London. 825 and a half is what it would be.
Yeah. So I think that he developed a really good chemistry with Lawrence last year. Did super well last year, and I don't think Calvin Ridley's going to live up to the hype. Hasn't played in 2 years. We saw what happened with Deshaun Watson last year when he came back after not playing for 2 years. He just looked like crap.
Yeah.
You take that much time away from the field. Now you're 2 years older. It's Christian Kirk's year.
Okay. So mine is also a receiving over. And similarly to these guys, I'm actually not taking an alternate line, but I am betting on a receiver to hit a career high here, but it's pretty easy when you go with mine. I took Jordan Addison's over at 675.5 receiving yards. That to
Okay.
me screams
Yeah.
screams free money. I mean,
Sure.
Minnesota from all of our offseason stuff, Minnesota seems to be a team that I've settled on as being like top 3 in passing attempts.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins going to finish with over 4,500 yards on the year. So,
And I think that there's a reality where Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson all outproduce even their already pretty large expectations.
sure.
Well, and
Um,
I would say even like there's history of Minnesota being the wide receiver whisperer. So I mean they've produced Jefferson. Uh,
and and super producer Josh, by the way, welcome.
well, hi guys, welcome back.
Hello.
We're
I don't
we're
think I
back.
introduced us properly, guys. My name's Wally Ismail. With me, as always, Tony Martin of TH Fantasy and Football Absurdity, Brian Edgecombe of TH Fantasy and Football Absurdity. Because I think that merger is kind of like, I think we have assimilated, or I don't know, how would you describe it, Tony?
It's like when two cells combine into one.
Yeah,
Um,
the
and
word
so
supercell of
yeah,
football knowledge.
and we're ready to party. So we're gonna go through the games game by game. We're gonna talk about bets we like. If you're new to the show, and then as we go, we'll talk about what we like in each game, and then when that's done, we'll go over our bets of the week. So let's start. We're going with San
Uh,
Francisco. Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
Really quick though, we are Bears fans, so I just want to throw this out there. FanDuel is offering a bet right now, plus 1,200 for the Bears to go over 12 and a half wins.
Oof, that's oof.
Let's see. I kind of feel like I might. I'm going to go through my bets to see if I already have it.
I hate
It
you
wouldn't
guys.
surprise me if I do.
I love that we're like take our gambling advice, and then 2 minutes later it's like Bears over 12 and a half wins.
No, I didn't say bet it. I just said they're offering it.
Um, no, I don't have that. What I do have is Chicago Bears winning the Super Bowl at plus 6,000. I bet 45 cents on this to make $27.45.
I also
mean-
have a 50-cent bet out there for the Cubs to win the World Series and the Bears to win the Super Bowl. It pays out like $2,500 if it happens.
That's fantastic.
I'm picturing at the Bears Super Bowl victory parade in downtown Chicago, Ryan and Waleed holding up their phones with their bet slips on it and just cheering. So
No,
let's talk.
Well, if that happens, we're going to Gibson's.
We are also wearing monocles while holding
Yeah.
our phone.
Big time. So, all right, so let's hop into our first game. We've got San Francisco going to Pittsburgh. Let's see. We have the 49ers as 2.5-point favorites. Pittsburgh upset on the money line would be plus 114, and the line is 41.5. Ryan, start us off.
Hold on one second. I'm trying to get back into the screen here.
Waleed, start us off.
All right, this actually has one of my top 5 bets of the week. We're all of us. If you haven't been to Gambletown before, we all will have our top 5 bets of the week. We'll have a parlay and a single game parlay that we like. This and I'm going to be honest. I stole this bet from Tony Martin. If you look at the Degenerates Gambit, is that the name of the article?
It sure is.
All right, Tony has it on the Football Absurdity website every week, where he picks some of his favorite bets of the week. And one of his lines was the under here for the 49ers Steelers at 41.5. I actually really like this line. The main reason I like this line is twofold. First, the weather. The weather is going to be bad. And bad games are low scoring more often than not. The other thing I like about this is last year in week 1, 9 games had under 41.5 points. 7 games went over that. So I feel like week 1, it's going to be a little bit more low scoring than we think it's going to be. And
Sure.
I'm willing to bet on the rain game being one of those. So give me
I like that.
Let me just run through real quick because all I have is the under, and I like the under because if George Kittle's out, who the hell's Brock Purdy throwing to? And at the same time, the way to beat San Francisco's defense is through the air, and I don't think Kenny Pickett is that dude.
Okay.
And that's all I got. So go ahead, Ryan. Let it ride, baby.
with this one, they actually don't have any rush or passing props out, at least that I can see. So what I like in this game is a Najee Harris anytime touchdown at plus 100, or a Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown at minus 110. Uh, like
The
I'm going with Waleed's game script where it's probably going to be low scoring, so I do like that under.
the the fact that they don't have a bunch of rushing and receiving lines posted tells me that Vegas
just
they don't have a good beat on this game.
yeah, right, exactly, and they know it's going to be low scoring, so they're
Right.
just not even going to offer anything.
Right. If we don't have anything else, we can carry on here. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So we're gonna go with Carolina going to Atlanta. Atlanta are 3.5 point favorites. Carolina is plus 160 for the upset, and the line is 39.5. All right, Ryan, take it away.
So I do like Bijan Robinson this week. So I'm liking his rushing prop. I think it's at 70.5. So I like that prop. Maybe parlay that with a Falcons win or potentially the under. You guys feel like the under is going to hit in this game? The juice is on the over right now, 39.5. At minus 115. The under's at 105.
I don't like betting the under if it's under 40 points.
Yeah, that's kind of where
Sure.
I'm at with that too.
Sure.
But having said that, what was it Bryce Young's first
First game.
First game historically, like I think you know what, this is your stat, Tony, so I'll let you say it.
All right. So Bryce Young being the first overall pick and playing in his first game in week 1 of his rookie season, a rookie first pick overall has not won his first game in the pros since David Carr in 2002. So they're 0-8, and in those games, I think half of them the quarterback has thrown multiple interceptions. So one of my bets of the week is Bryce Young to go over 0.5 interceptions. So if there's a prop in there like Bryce Young to throw an interception, I click yes, and that's
Sure.
one of my top 5 plays of the week.
Yeah, I'm thinking about parlaying, like I said, the Robinson over at 70.5 with also an anytime touchdown and like the Falcons to win. That might be an interesting parlay. It's probably going to set you around plus 300 somewhere in that realm.
So if you took Robinson and over 70.5 yards, the Atlanta Falcons money line, and the anytime touchdown for Bijan, you get plus 214. Now,
214?
214.
That's not bad.
But if you decide to go and set it a money line with the Falcons minus 3.5, you're getting plus 262.
Sure. Well, and Waleed, I know you like Drake London this week too. You like his over? You like his line?
Well, while we're talking about it, I not only like Drake London, I love Drake London. His line right now is 52.5. I actually got him at 51.5 when I made my bet, which makes me happy.
Are you predicting like a great game where you might play some alternate reception yards?
Funny you should mention that. So, if you guys are new to going to Gambletown, of which, well, I'm sorry, it's not Gambletown, right, Tony? What is
Not this week. This week, since I ended the season in control, this is the Democratic People's Republic of Gambletown.
Yes.
Okay.
And in the Democratic People's Republic of Gambletown, we always do a challenge that lets us know, oh, Captain Crunch is here, Deku, welcome. Since we are in the Democratic Republic, how we determine who rules Gambletown is who wins the Millionaire Challenge. Now, we aren't going to be running the Millionaire Challenge into Discord this year because I don't have any easy way to keep track of it. I'm hoping to get it up before the season, before the halfway point of the season. And what we're going to do is Tony, Brian, and I will each place a $10 bet. And we have the choice of either cashing out or doubling up. Can't withdraw your money. Well, you can't. Wait. No, you either
You can. You can, but you start over.
Right.
You start over. That's exactly what it is.
And for anyone that's listening too, if you want to keep track of your millionaire bets every week and you get a string of something going, you want to post it and show us, that'd be crazy too.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Fuck yeah.
We absolutely will. And we can talk about that in our Discord. Which, you know what, I kind of feel like we could do that later.
Well, tell us about your Drake London stuff, Waleed.
So one of my top 5 bets of the week is Drake London over. But for my millionaire bet, I'm not just taking the over. I'm taking an adjusted money line where I am taking him at over 70 yards at plus 178. And if I'm being honest with myself, I'm playing it conservative because it is week 1. I don't feel like I know exactly what's going to happen, but like I keep looking at that 360 at plus 90 yards for Drake London, and I like it. And a part of me wants to like add that with the anytime touchdown for Drake London because I think Drake London is going to be a monster, and I think these are the best lines I'm going to get from him. So if I can get.
So Deku, who's following along for specifically DFS purposes, we usually are not going to explicitly talk about DFS till closer to the end. But since you're here, I think all 3 of us are in agreement that this could be a week where you're looking at heavy Drake London usage in DFS lineups.
And I will tell you right now, spoiler alert, Drake London is in my DFS lineup.
Does anyone remember how much Drake London was on FanDuel? Like 7,000?
We'll talk about it when we get to the DFS.
Okay.
All right.
Well, yeah,
so
Drake London is my guy this week.
Okay. So we like Atlanta with the points. We like Bryce Young we like a Bryce Young interception. And we like Drake London quite a bit.
We like
Bijan.
We like Bijan Robinson over and anytime touchdown.
All right. So let's slide. Let's go to the next one. We're going to go Houston visiting Baltimore. Baltimore are 10-point home favorites. A Houston upset is plus 360, and the line is 43.5. Waleed, what do you got?
So there's only one bet here that I actually have any interest in, and that is very simply, I'm taking the over on. This is part of my regular game parlay, but I'm taking the over on interceptions for C.J. Stroud at half an interception, basically minus 162.
I think that's good. Yeah, the juice is on the over probably, but it's still a good thing you could throw on. Can you parlay that, or can you parlay those interceptions?
You can't. No.
You know what? I'll talk about my parlay because I did it with the Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, and Anthony Richardson. I went to Rivers because they did not have a line unless they do now for Anthony Richardson interception. I combined all of them to each have an interception in their first NFL games. I get plus 367. And my $10 will make me $46.67. So all I'm doing is betting that the rookies are going to throw interceptions. And history shows that rookies throw interceptions in their first game.
Right.
Correct.
The only thing I'm really confident in this game is a Baltimore Ravens win. It's still, we're just starting. I don't know what's going to happen with this 5-man running theme thing in Baltimore. It could be Lamar Jackson, could be Jay Dobbins, could be Gus Edwards. It's too hard to predict some of these lines in this game script, especially when they could go up 20 points and just Jackson might not even play the second half. So I'm just confident in a Baltimore win.
Okay. So I was really eye-fucking the J.K. Dobbins rushing line, and it's something that we actually talked about when we were recording TH Fantasy last night. That episode should hopefully post today or tomorrow. That like J.K. Dobbins is cheap on FanDuel, and he's going against last year's worst run defense in football. I think the spread offense in the new scheme is going to actually help Dobbins because he's not going to be running into 9-player boxes consistently.
Sure.
So I like Dobbins a lot. He's in a lot of my DFS builds this week. And so my same game parlay is in this game. So I have Baltimore's money line. I have J.K. Dobbins over 62.5 rushing yards. And then I have C.J. Stroud under 1.5 pass touchdowns.
Okay, what's the payout on that?
So it's plus 193, and I put 5 down, and I would win 965. So a total of 14. So that's my same game parlay. I like a Baltimore ass whooping.
Yeah. You know what? And now that I look at the touchdown lines too, I'd probably put some money on J.K. Dobbins at plus 100 for anytime touchdown.
So I think we're in agreement in our first 2 games. We're big on Drake London and J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to point out here too, because while I'm not making any bets in this game, the two lines that are standing out to me: Mark Andrews receiving over at 48.5, and Rashad Bateman at 33.5 are the like. And I kind of like that Zay Flowers 38 and Odell Beckham
Uh,
Jr. already kind of hurt, so I'm not looking at it too much. But if I had to take one, I'm only going to take one bet, I think, for a receiving over if I made one, and it's going to be Mark Andrews because, like, the thing I've been harping for all fantasy football content at the beginning of the year was that when Monken was in Tampa Bay, his offenses were top five. They're going to Cincinnati, and I think
Sure.
the clear beneficiary is going to be Mark Andrews. At 48.5, that's a low line, and he's their number one receiver. And I
well,
get
Mark
that, like,
Mark Andrews
is
might
still
be injured.
questionable.
Yeah.
He's
that's
still.
the only thing.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: if he doesn't play, you're just going to get your bet back. But if I'm going to make a
True.
bet, I'm doing it. And if I get my bet back, then I'm probably moving it into Zay Flowers. At
Sure.
48.5.
Sure.
I will say if Beckham's receiving line right now is at 35.5, which is a bummer because if that first number was a 4, that under would have hurt my thumb from pressing it so hard.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. Let's talk. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
and if anyone wants to be really bold, throw some money down on a Baltimore defensive touchdown at plus 410.
Oh, that's sexy.
Ooh.
That's a good
fun
risk.
bet. You know
All
what?
right.
That kind
Go
of
ahead.
now I want to see if there's another one for. I'm going back to that Carolina Atlanta game. Where's we have defensive touchdowns here. Let's look at.
Well, let's catch up on that closer to the end. So let's go Cincy Cleveland right now.
Well, I already got there. An Atlanta
Oh, go ahead.
defensive touchdown plus 700 against Bryce Young.
Atlanta
Interesting.
defensive.
Atlanta defensive touchdown at plus 700. That's a spicy one that I think could
Well,
be interesting.
I'll tell you what, in most of the DFS builds that I've already done this week, Atlanta is my go-to defense, and they're priced up. They're pretty expensive.
Interesting.
On FanDuel, but I also have some money left over because we stay cashing in Yahoo. So the Yahoo, they're the actual bottom cheap defense at Yahoo. Atlanta is this week. So
And that's something you can exploit.
Absolutely. All right, so let's go on. We're going. Cincinnati is visiting Cleveland. They're going to the dog pound. Cincy are 1.5-point favorites on the road. For a Cleveland home win, the odds are plus 110, and the line is 47.5. Waleed, what do you got?
Honestly, I don't have any action on this game. If I was going to take anything, I love Cincy at -1.5. I actually have a bet that first coach that's going to be fired is Stefanski in Cleveland. I think
Okay.
that's all going to be a mess. I think we've seen that organization is dysfunctional. I was getting pretty long odds on it too, but I just feel like if things start going bad, I can see that owner meddling and it just being awful. And I don't trust Cleveland. The only thing I trust in Cleveland is Nick Chubb, but I don't really want to make any bets on this team until I get a chance to see them for a few weeks.
Something you should trust in Cleveland is a restaurant called Melt. It's got the greatest grilled cheese sandwiches I've ever eaten.
Really?
Oh damn.
And a place called No Class, which is a wonderful punk bar that we played once. And they have a whole quarter pipe, so people were skateboarding during our set. It was fucking sick.
Really?
Yep. All right, Ryan, what do you got in this game? Anything?
Well, I'm hesitant to bet on this game just because of the historical fact that Cleveland does really well when they play Cincinnati, and they're at home. So I'm not messing around with any of Joe Burrow's props. I'm looking at Joe Mixon's 54.5. That seems kind of small, so I might bet the over on that. Nick
I would want to
Chubb.
point out though that like Joe Mixon last year, the way the Bengals are built right now, they're not really a running team, and
Right.
he got most of his work into receiving game. That's where his value was. That line feels like a trap to me.
Well, if we're looking at that, then you might want to go bet his receiving over. It's only at 19.5, which seems
And
low.
that's something that is kind of interesting.
I don't want to. I mean, I might mess around with Jamar Chase's 77.5. Seems kind of low, but like I said, historically, Cleveland does super well against Cincinnati, and I think might give them some problems. Cleveland's pass defense, is a lot better this year. So this could be a really close game and maybe a low game too. Let's see, what's the over at? It's at 47.5. There's no juice on either side. They're both at -110, meaning they don't know what's going to happen. Um, and like I said, because Cleveland plays so well against Cincinnati, this spread is not Cleveland's at +110 and Cincinnati's at -130. This game could go a bunch of ways, but I do like that Wally pointed out Mixon's receiving. I think I'm gonna do something with parlay that with some other games. I'm gonna do that Mixon over 19.5 receiving.
So it's funny you should mention a parlay that we didn't have going into the show that we're kind of talking ourselves into because I have one as well. So we did a ton of research this offseason. I mean, a metric shit ton. And two of the players that I liked a ton ended up being Elijah Moore and T. Higgins. And I think both of their yardage lines are underpriced this week. So I threw $2 or $3 down on a plus 241 parlay. Elijah Moore's receiving at 31.5. It's just low enough for me to like that action. And so the thing about T. Higgins that I'm really, really big on is that last year his number is probably pretty close to around where this 57.5 is, but that was buoyed down by a couple games that he started and didn't finish. So
Okay.
in all of the games that T. Higgins started and didn't finish, he averaged 77 yards per game. So that's 20 yards over his line right now.
Yeah, right.
So to me, that says this is a baked in like an error where people are expecting a lower outcome because they're looking at season long range of outcomes instead of weekly range of outcomes. So I like T over 57.5, as well as Elijah Moore as the slot getting over 31.5.
Interesting.
Okay.
And so Deku probably is wondering, what is the Cleveland grilled cheese over? Is that like 1.5? Like if you eat two of those sandwiches if you're there?
All right, let me ask Ryan. Ryan, how many times have you seen me not finish a sandwich?
Tony's the fastest eater that I know.
And
Tony, when Tony sits down, it's like it's gonna be his last meal and he needs it right now.
And guys, we are having some technical difficulties. Josh is working on getting us back up on that screen, but we'll vocalize what we're talking about, and eventually you will see our pretty faces again.
So then real quick, Deku, let me tell you about this. I went to this place called Melt on tour, and when you're on tour, you're already fucking hungry. And so this place, this Melt place, had gourmet grilled cheeses. The one I got was like Big Lebowski themed, and it was like 6 different kinds of cheeses on fancy, like almost Texas toast style bread, and it had a giant meatball in the middle. And
Ooh.
and in order to even it all out, they had like mozzarella cheese wedges on each side so that it was level accurately. It was incredible, and I could not finish it. I only ate half.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is-
So keep that in mind. That is the over on the Cleveland grilled cheese. So let's move
But
on.
since FanDuel's not offering that, get on that T. Higgins.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on. We're going with Tampa Bay visiting Minnesota. Minnesota 5.5 point favorites. A Tampa Bay upset would be plus 198 on the money line, and the total is 46. Waleed, what do you got?
I got nothing on this game.
Okay. Ryan, what do you got?
I am smashing Hawkinson's over at 50.5. That seems
My
really low
man.
for him.
My man.
Probably parlay that with like a Vikings win and maybe a Hawk anytime touchdown. Hawks anytime touchdown plus 165. That might be a good parlay. Let's see. Hawk touchdown, Vikings win, and his over would be plus 356. That's not a bad parlay.
So wait,
It's
what was
not.
that? You said the Hawk receiving over, and what else?
And a touchdown.
Vikings win and a Hawk touchdown.
So TJ Hawkinson's receiving yardage line is one of my top 5 bets of the week.
Yeah.
I got it at 49.5. Ryan, you said you got it at 50.5.
It's 50.5. That's also one of my top 5 bets of the week.
So this makes me want to ask the question: what do you guys think of the total receptions for Hawkinson at 4.5?
He's gonna have 8 to 10 catches.
That's kind of what I
So
was wondering.
Yeah.
That feels like it's a
Yeah.
low line based on his
Yeah.
target share last year.
so when we did our DFS lineup last night for TH Fantasy for Superflex, we stacked Kirk with Hawkinson.
Okay.
TJ Hawkinson last year with Minnesota, the lowest amount of targets he got in a game was 6, and he was third on the team in air yards. Or third in the league in tight end air yards. So I think that over is an easy hit because he's not going to catch. Like, you look at a guy like Tyler Higbee and you're like, he's cheap. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great, but he's going to catch 4 for 42, and that gets you a whopping 6 points on FanDuel. So
Right.
like, give me the guy like TJ Hawkinson that's going to catch a pass 10 yards downfield and get at minimum between 6 to 8 opportunities to make those catches.
And I
And
want
at
to add.
least
I want to.
and at
Oh,
least
sorry.
4 opportunities to get some yards after the catch too.
And let
Correct.
me point out, if we add receptions to Ryan's parlay to make it a 4-game parlay, so over 4.5 receptions and anytime touchdown, 15.5 receiving yards over, and Vikings win, you get plus 426 on that.
That's beautiful.
And what I like about this, and this is something I like to talk about, when I'm framing my parlays, I like things that all kind of work together. Like
Correct.
the Hawkinson receiving, like reception over, the yards over, and that touchdown. That just basically means if Hawkinson has a really good game, you're just getting juice. Like
Yep.
those outcomes all help each other.
Right.
So TJ Hawkinson is a big play that we like this week.
Where do you see his over at 4.5?
Receptions, total player receptions. You just
Total.
gotta expand it.
Total player receptions. Yeah, you guys keep going. I'm looking for it.
Well, I don't think we're
Ryan's
gonna have.
making moves.
I don't think we're gonna have.
I'm putting this in right now.
We do actually have a little bit to talk about, so we'll have. I'll start it off. We have Arizona going to Washington. Washington are 7-point home favorites. An Arizona upset is plus 265 on the money line, and the total is 38.5. So I want to start, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals money line. Now, you might be asking, hey, Tony, why are you betting on the worst team in football? And I'll tell you why. Because last year I bet on the worst team in football, and they beat the 49ers. Week 1 is crazy. Sam Howell is an unproven commodity. And I think that there's a chance that Arizona comes in and wins this game 10-7. So I think that Washington's the better team. Arizona is significantly worse, but I also believe at the same time that there is a reasonable outcome where Arizona wins this game. Even though you might not be as crazy as me, I don't think it's unreasonable for people to bet the spread and hope Arizona covers +7.
One thing I like too in week 1, and this is something that last year I know someone all they did is they bet the money line on every underdog for week 1. They came out ahead because week 1 is unknown. For as much research as we do, football is crazy, and the fact is, Washington. I'm not sure that Washington's that good a team. Arizona, as bad as they are, a lot of their problems last year were very much coaching induced. So they could very well be a team that like isn't the worst team in football. They're just kind of mediocre.
Chase Young still isn't playing. So there's still no Chase Young on that defensive line. So I don't think it's written in the stars that this game is a win for Washington by any means. And at plus 265, I'm not against it.
Well, Vegas certainly thinks the opposite because Washington's minus 330.
Yeah.
The only really bet I have from this game, and it's one of my top 5 of the week, is Brian Robinson's over rushing at 58.5. I think
I love it.
I think he should get at least 70. That's really the only thing I got in this game. I did take Washington to win in my 5-team money line parlay, but
I also another guy that I've got everywhere in DFS this week is Brian Robinson. Everywhere.
Yeah, I got a lot of exposure to him too in DFS.
He's not going to catch a ton of passes, but in half PPR, I'm much less worried about it. If you're playing DraftKings, I don't want Brian Robinson because that's full point PPR. But in a league like this, I'm all about it, man. Like,
and with the inexperienced quarterback, they're gonna probably rely on the run game a lot, especially in this first game for Sam Howell.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
if I told you Brian Robinson's going to get 18 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown, I don't think anyone would disagree with me.
yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But also with the inexperienced quarterback, couldn't you say the same thing for Antonio Gibson's like reception number or like catching numbers?
I'm
I
glad you mentioned that because I kind of want to talk about the Antonio Gibson receiving over at 19 and a half. Last year, uh, the the Arizona Cardinals gave up top 5 receiving yards to the running back position. And I don't know that they've gotten that much better on defense. So I think that 19 and a half for Antonio Gibson is a very tasty line. I think a lot of that work is going to actually come into receiving and for running back.
Okay. So, anything else before we move on, gentlemen?
Yeah, I did want to talk about Jahan Dotson at 44 and a half. He hit that over in 4 of his last 5 games of the season last year. I like rookies who can get that. I like betting on a rookie bump, and Jahan Dotson's a dog. Jahan Dotson is so freaking good, and I am excited to see him. I think he's a guy who's going to take a big leap this year, and I think that's the lowest we're going to see a Jahan Dotson receiving line, and I want to take advantage of it.
My dynasty shares would love that to come true. I think I have like 60% Jahan Dotson ownership in my dynasty leagues. All right, so let's go to New Orleans next. We've got the Titans visiting the Saints. We have an interdivisional or outer divisional matchup. New Orleans are 3-point home favorites. A Titans upset's plus 134 on the money line, and the total is 41.5. I'm just gonna go ahead and say I have fucking nothing in this game. So
It's okay.
Waleed's got a touch. So Ryan, you go first.
I'm an Olave truther, just like Waleed. So
My man.
anything
Olave.
anything with Olave, I think is a good bet. And if we're kind of keeping the same formula, like we did with that Hawkinson parlay, maybe I'm gonna do Olave's over at 68 and a half. I'm gonna probably put that with a touchdown, because a touchdown for him is what? Let's see. It was like plus 160 or something. It was
Plus 175.
Why isn't it coming up? There
Plus
we go.
175.
Plus 175. Let's put that together. Put it with the New Orleans win. That's plus like 420. So
That's the lead number.
yeah, I like that. Let's check out, what if we do, Wally, did you look up his reception total?
4.5.
4.5 again? Ooh, wow.
Yep.
I might do that too.
So
Go ahead.
We decided to do just an Olave receiving yards, anytime touchdown, and over 4.5 receiving yards. You're getting plus 4.5 receptions. You're getting plus 313 on that juice. If you want to get real daring, maybe throw that over for Derek Carr at 244.5 to get that up to plus 451. I think that's one that could be real fun.
Well, I threw in the Saints money line too. So let's see.
So then for Deku who's watching, thank you by the way. Sounds like we're all pretty in on Chris Olave.
Yeah. I'm very in on him. It's
So-
actually
So if I add the money line, it's plus 511. That's a
Ooh.
pretty sick bet. I like that.
I can't bring myself to do the money line on that, and the reason for that is I actually took the Titans money line at plus 130. That's one of my top
really?
5 bets of the week. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of underdogs that win. I have a nice little round robin of a bunch of teams. This is one of them that's in there because honestly, I think this game is a coin flip. So I'm going to bet on who I think has the better coach, which I think is Vrabel, and I think plus 130. I'm getting some points. I'll take that action. I got Chris Olave at 66.5. He's now at 68 because people are smashing that over because people know Olave is good. And I also have my same game parlay here. I got Olave anytime touchdown, Olave at 66.5, and Derek Carr at 244.5. I wish I had thought about it before I made the bet, so I'm going to stick with it because if I did, I would also add his reception. But I got it that line at plus 382, so my $5 bet is going to get me $19.10.
Okay.
You know what?
Uh,
I'm gonna make that Olave bet spicy, and I'm gonna also add. I took away the money line because I now that Waleed kind of rationalized that for me. I'm gonna add in a Derrick Henry touchdown, and
Ooh, I
that
like
puts it
that.
at plus 581. So Olave's over. Olave anytime touchdown, Henry anytime touchdown, and Olave over 4.5 receptions plus 581. I'm doing that one.
y'all
That's a fun parlay.
y'all have fun with that.
Well,
All right.
I'm not making that parlay. I'm trying to limit my parlays to three bets or less.
Okay. So let's move on then before we get too carried away here. Let's go with a game that I'm sure we're going to spend 15 to 20 minutes on. Jacksonville going to Indy. Indianapolis are 4.5-point road underdogs. So the Jags are minus 4.5. The money line for a upset in Indy is plus 176, and the line is 46.5. Ryan, take it away.
All right, so this has two of my top five bets of the week. I have a Christian Kirk anytime touchdown at plus 145. And I'm taking the over on Lawrence's rush yards at 12.5. I think I'll have that by the time the third quarter's up. And then we won't have to worry about it in the fourth.
Okay.
This is also my millionaire bet for the week, plus 145 Christian Kirk anytime touchdown. So I'm
My man.
gonna try and start strong. I had to find some plus odds. This also has my same game parlay. So I did the Kirk anytime touchdown, and I put it with the Lawrence over on 12.5 rush yards. I put that with the Jacksonville money line, and also Evan Ingram's over at 38.5 reception yards. I think he's gonna at least have 45, 4 or 5 catches, maybe even a touchdown. But I put all four of those together, and it's plus 1150. So I put $3 on it to win around $35.
Okay. Waleed, what do you
Uh,
got? Oh no, you're keep going.
Yeah, sorry. I'm if you've listened to me and Tony's podcast, you all know my love for the Jaguars. So
The
I'm
TH Fantasy podcast, by the way, which if you're not subscribed to, you should be listening.
yeah, I'm all over the Jaguars this year, and this is gonna be a fun game to watch. So yeah, go ahead, Wally.
Well, real quick, I want to just point out the two teams that Ryan was all over this entire offseason are the Jaguars and the only undefeated team in football this year.
Right,
So take that for what you will.
Detroit.
You should have made that your bet actually when you did your season long thing.
Well, Ryan,
has the bet.
I have a season long bet. I forgot about that one. So I have the AFC winner as the Jacksonville and the NFC as Detroit, meaning they will both meet up in the Super Bowl. That was like a 50-cent bet, pays out like $300.
Yeah. All right, Waleed, what do you got?
So I don't have anything except for one thing that's part of my my interception parlay. They actually just posted the Anthony Richard interception line while the show was going. So if you wanted to do this on FanDuel, if you do an interception for Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, and C.J. Stroud, you will get plus 358, which is a nice price.
I like that.
It's actually a better price. No, it's not as good a price as I got, but it's not bad.
Must be nice.
You got to get in early before those prices move.
I have quite a bit in this game. So I'm a huge Christian Kirk guy. I know it. You know it. I am actually in on Calvin Ridley this week. One of my top 5 bets of the week is Calvin Ridley hitting over 63.5 receiving yards. Let me explain real quick. The outside cornerbacks for Indianapolis are absolute garbage. All right. Their starting defensive back is right now second-year undrafted free agent cornerback Dallas Flowers, who was one of the worst defensive backs last year per PFF, and he's strictly a boundary guy. He's an outside guy, and that's why I think Calvin Ridley could abuse a guy like this. So one of my top 5 bets of the week is Calvin Ridley over 63.5. And I get why you would take Christian Kirk over, especially for DFS. I think I have a list of guys that we're going to recommend near the end. I would still probably take Kirk over Ridley just because of the price point. Um, and then one of my other top 5 bets of the week is the under in this game at 46.5, because I honestly, you guys, I don't think the Colts can score.
It's not looking good.
They're having
In DFS too. I have a lot of Jacksonville defense.
They have a rookie quarterback who is starting with his first and second string running backs out of the game.
That's true too.
So, if you want to get really spicy, I don't think, do they have an Evan Hull rushing line yet? I don't think they do.
They don't.
No, they don't.
I didn't see it.
That might be something worth looking at. And if you're doing a DFS build like Deku, like if you can get Evan Hull for like the bare minimum, if you can get him for under 5, he's not a bad play.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to Philly going to New England. Philly are 4-point road favorites. A New England upsets plus 166, and the line is 45. Waleed, what do you got?
I have nothing on this game. I have no interest in betting it. You guys have fun.
Ryan?
This is another game where I like quarterback rushing yards. I like Jalen Hurts minus 114, 42.5.
Okay.
I think I'll take the over on that. He'll probably have at least 50. Ramadre's seems kind of low too for a team that only has 2 running backs. The Patriots didn't sign anyone else, at least that I saw. His is at 59.5. So this may be a year that we really don't have to figure out who Belichick's going to be running, because Ramadre is pretty much all they got.
Well, they got the corpse of Zeke Elliott.
Right.
Well, what you guys don't understand is that Belichick is abusing the emergency running back rule, and so he's only rostering 2, but on the day he's going to call one up from the practice squad. It's a whole thing. You don't understand.
Okay, so I have some action on this, and I want to talk about it. The worst offensive game that the Eagles played last year was against the Colts, who predominantly used cover 1, which is something that the Eagles offense tends to struggle with. I think Bill Belichick knows that. I think this game might be a little closer than people think, but I still believe that the reason why I'm taking the Eagles -4 as my Millionaire Challenge bet of the week is because I think Philly's defense absolutely abuses the Patriots this week. The Patriots are missing multiple starters on the offensive line, and Mac Jones is still Mac Jones. So while I think there is going to be a bit of a Super Bowl loser hangover, and I don't think they're going to win by 20, I still think they're going to win by a touchdown. So my Millionaire Bet Challenge of the week is Eagles -4.
I would also like to point out the defensive coordinator for the Eagles leaving. If you actually talk to Eagles fans, they were happy about that because they didn't adjust at all. There's a reason the Chiefs were able to come back and take control of that game. Is because they just weren't adjusting their coverages to what the Chiefs were doing. Just by virtue of improving the play calls, that Eagles defense could be really interesting. One thing that I was looking at here too that I thought was kind of interesting, the Ramondre Stevenson receiving over at 18.5 looks kind of interesting to me. I will not make that bet because I think that Eagles team might just make them so they don't get 100 yards total. I think the Eagles defense is going to destroy that. But I don't also like betting it.
There was a line that I was looking at last night that I ended up not going with, but I'm tempted to do the under for DeAndre Swift, under of 32.5 rushing yards.
Okay.
Oh God, that's a solid under.
That's a big number for a guy that's in a 4-headed backfield. Well, 5 if you count Jalen Hurts.
Right.
So that's something that I flirted with. I didn't put any money on it because it's too risky for me since I don't know the scheme.
It's too low a number to really feel comfortable.
Yeah, you could get that on one play. So let's move on.
How do you feel about AJ Brown's line at 71.5?
I don't like it because I worry. I know that Jack Jones is out, but whenever I think about betting against Bill Belichick, I think of 2 things. One, I think of that audio clip of Sean McVay during the Super Bowl when the Rams were getting shithoused by the Patriots, and he turns to his offensive coordinator and says they used the Bears tape for this game. And And then like I think about watching the documentary The Four Falls of Buffalo, where they talk about how great that offense was in the first year and how the only defensive coordinator that figured out the scheme was Bill Belichick in the Super Bowl, and that's why the Giants won. So if there's a receiver prop that I like, it's probably Devonta Smith, because as we know, Bill Belichick historically is the guy that takes away the best player from the opposing offense.
I was
So
about to say that, but I
Okay.
was waiting to see if you did. Yeah,
yeah,
Bill Belichick historically, he's going to look at your best player. He's going to take you away and make you beat him with your second best or third best guys. And
right.
yeah.
So this is a game we're moving on. A game that I have nothing in. We got the Raiders going to Denver. Denver are home 3.5-point favorites. A Raiders upsets plus 138 on the money line, and the total is 43.5. Ryan, you got anything?
Not really. This is going to be an ugly game, so I'm staying away from this one.
Super
We got-
limited.
We got too much fresh legs in Vegas, and the receiving core for Denver is not good. They're all injured, and or have been banged up and coming back from injury. I don't really have anything this game.
Okay.
The only
Waleed?
thing that I was looking at, and it's not up yet, I want to see if they post any receiving totals for running backs in the Denver Broncos, because I think those lines are something that could be interesting. Last year, the Raiders gave up top 5 receiving yards to opposing running backs. I don't think that defense has gotten any better. I think that team is going to be a mess. And
Correct.
I think that receiving total should be pretty low. So there could be an edge if we get a Samaje Perine or Javonte Williams receiving total. I'll be looking at that before kickoff. But other than that, I don't want to touch this game. This is going to be just bad football. The only thing that might be interesting and worth watching is the under of this game, because 43.5. I mean, like, maybe one of these teams gets to 20, but I don't believe it.
I will tell you, we'll spoil a little bit of the podcast. One of my favorite cheap FanDuel plays this week is Marvin Mims at 4,700.
Oh, that's a good price.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure is. All right, so let's move on. We're going Rams visiting Seattle. Seattle are 4.5-point favorites at home. The Rams are plus 180 as road dogs, and the line is 45.5. Waleed, start us off.
All right, I'm going to start you off with one of my top 5 bets of the week. There were two bets in this game I was really excited about that I wanted to look at. I ended up going with the receiving prop because it's a lower line. Cam Akers, 12.5 receiving yard. Is that not? Oh, they don't have it here, guys. Wait until they FanDuel will at some point post a Cam Akers receiving line. I got this over at Rivers at 12.5 receiving yards. That's a really good price considering that the Seattle Seahawks last year gave up top 5 yards to. Let me see. Actually, I'm going to give you my exact notes here. Do I have them here? No, I don't. Never mind. They were top 5 in receiving yards to opposing running backs. I think Cam Akers is going to get looks, especially with no Cooper Kupp. They're going to throw it to someone. Akers can get that on one pass, and I think that's a solid play. The other receiving prop that I do really like here, Tyler Higbee at 44.5. That was last year in 6 of his 10 games with Stafford, he had over 45 receiving yards. No Cooper Kupp. I think Higbee's the number 1 receiving target this year. And last year, the Seahawks gave up the second most yards to opposing tight ends. So give me.
I don't hate it.
Yeah.
Right,
I
Ryan.
know the TH Fantasy podcast is really big on Tyler Higbee for a reason.
Hate crime Higbee. All right, Ryan.
The only really line I like in this is Tyler Lockett's line at 55.5. I like the over on that.
Lock it in.
JSN's not playing for a little bit, so he's going to be back to the second wide receiver role, and
I think
could
JSN's playing.
Is he?
I think so.
I thought he wasn't.
Yeah, I didn't think he was playing either.
I could be wrong. Keep going, Ryan.
I didn't think he was playing, and if he was, I would think that they would have a line for him, but they don't. If they have a line for Puka Nacua, I would think they would have one for JSN. But other than that, yeah, I don't have too much on this game.
So one of my top 5 bets of the week is indeed the Tyler Lockett over. So as of yesterday, it seems like JSN will be playing in week 1. However, That does not get me off of Tyler Lockett's 55.5 yardage prop. He looks to be projected going against Darion Kendrick, which is the second worst cornerback in football. Tyler Lockett went over 55.5 yards receiving 10 times last year in 16 games.
Nice.
So I love Lockett this week. That's one of my biggest plays this year or this week so far. So Tyler Lockett's my guy in this week. I'm writing him down as a potential DFS play. I have him everywhere. Cam Akers, I worry a little bit about, and Tyler Higbee, I worry about their touchdown viability because they still do play for the Rams. But I love Lockett this week. So let's move on. Let's go Green Bay visiting the Bears in a game that has me almost shitting my pants with nervousness.
Yep.
So the Bears, believe it or not, hey, the Bears are 1.5 point favorites in Week 1 against the Green Bay Packers. How does it feel, boys?
I mean, once Christian Watson went up, we got an extra half point.
I'm feeling the love, you know.
They do not have any receiving yard props for this game. It's just passing yards and rushing yards.
Yeah, it's because Dante Pettis got cut, so they don't know how to adjust.
Yeah.
Where is it gonna go?
This game has one of my top 5 bets of the week. It's Justin Fields over on his rushing yards, 59.5.
As much as that seems like a big number, we watched last year him go over that number on a single carry several times.
Right. Yeah.
That's
one of the bets I love this week. I'm not going to mess around with any of the passing yard props because we could see Fields rush for 150 yards and only have 100 yards passing.
I hope not.
And Jordan Love, who the hell knows what's going to happen with that?
Is there any interception props for
I don't know.
Packers?
There probably are, but let's see.
One guy I do like. I do like the Bears winning this week. Being from Chicago, but I do want to put down. Did they have? No, they didn't have the. That's right, they didn't have the receiving. Right now, one of my big DFS guys who's super cheap is Luke Musgrave. I might throw a couple bucks down on a Luke Musgrave touchdown at plus 300.
We talked about this extensively on the show last night. Luke Musgrave is one of the premier pay down options at tight end this week because he's 4,500. He's a starting tight end, and I'm kind of on the fence about it, but you're not the only person that said it, my friend.
Right,
well,
and you might as well.
No Romeo. I don't know if Romeo Dobbs is playing or if he's hurt. Like they got a lot of injuries there.
You might as well utilize him this week too in DFS before he goes above 5,000. If we think he's going to be as good as, or if he has a good week, he's going to be well above 5,000 next week. Can
I ask you guys a DFS question real quick?
Yeah.
You're punting on tight end so that you could pay up elsewhere. Let's say Mark Andrews doesn't play. Are you going Musgrave or Likely?
Likely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Likely.
Okay.
Lamar just has a better track record of throwing to his tight ends. So.
Yep.
And likely, we saw when Andrews was out a few games last year that he fit right into that starting tight end role.
I think it's also the offensive scheme. We know that they're gonna.
Right.
I don't know if we know, but we can assume based on Monken's track record that there's going to be a lot more pass attempts in that game than there are going to be in the Packers game. Like the Packers are a run-first offense.
That's a good point.
They have been.
The only thing that has me shying away from Likely is the game script once Baltimore's up by like 20 points.
Yeah, but at that point he's already gotten you like 2 touchdowns.
Hopefully.
So you're fine.
All right, so let's move on. Go Bears.
Hey, you got to give me a chance to talk about the Bears.
Oh, okay. Please.
I only had a couple things. I was looking at that passing over for Fields at 178. It's kind of low, and I think you're going to throw more. But the Packers' pass defense last year was pretty damn good.
It was.
I think it's still a really good secondary. But what they were really bad at last year was they gave up the 7th most rushing yards to running backs this year. And I think we saw that last year. Montgomery had good games against the Packers.
He did.
Donta Foreman at 21.5. I like that over. I think that's a really low number. And I think that and I don't think that Khalil Herbert is as locked in as a lot of people. A lot of out of town people think Khalil Herbert's the guy. I don't think it's gonna be. I think Donta is gonna get as many looks as Herbert does, and I think at 21.5, I'd rather take that line.
You listen to the podcast, you know that we are all in on the Bears' current front office not being as huge on Herbert as people think they are.
Yeah, like eventually Roshan's going to be the guy, and we'll start seeing some lines, and that's where I'll want to take that action when he starts showing. But for now, I actually like Donta as a guy who gets more rushing work than Khalil Herbert because Donta Foreman can at least block and pass, so I think he's going to see the field a lot more than people think he.
Okay, so let's go to one of our other premier 325 Central games that we got going on this week. We've got Miami going to the Chargers. Chargers are 3-point home favorites. A Dolphins road upset is plus 136, and the robust line is 50.5 points. Wally, lay it on us.
Oh man, I was like, I have no bets in this game really. I do got some DFS exposure. The thing I was really looking at and excited about was Raheem Mostert rushing over because last year the Chargers gave up the second most rushing yards to running backs, and we don't know how that defense is going to look. But Raheem Mostert's rushing line is 63.5 yards, which that's too high for me to make a bet on him because I don't know that they're going to actually try running the ball.
But you know what bet, Wally, that I like for Mostert is his receiving over. It's only 11.5, and a game that could be a potential high scoring shootout. He could get that in two receptions, or even one.
The thing that worries me
he's the starting running back, and they're decimated at that position.
The thing that gives me pause when we're projecting negatives against the Chargers defense this year is that right now they are all healthy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And last year, the reason why the Chargers suck is that they get decimated, right? I mean, their edge rushers are still Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack.
Yeah, that's true.
And the right tackle, or the start, or is it left or right tackle? Terran Armstead is out for this game for the Dolphins. So one of the bets that I kind of flirted with was Tua's under of 21.5 completions.
Okay.
He went under that 8 times last year, and the Chargers' healthy defense is something that worries me. I don't mind Tyreek Hill in DFS because he can catch, one pass and take it 60 yards for a touchdown at any given moment. But I'm not betting this game because with full health from the Chargers defense, I think that this has a chance to be a dominating performance.
How do you feel? Does Austin Eckler's receiving line seem really low to you guys at 31.5?
I still think that the reason why Austin Eckler caught so many fucking passes last year is because all the receivers were hurt and Justin Herbert was hurt, so he wasn't chucking it deep like he usually does.
And also Mike Lombardi.
Correct. With a new offensive coordinator, with all the receivers healthy, with the line healthy, with Herbert healthy, I don't think Eckler, the line's low enough that I'm interested, but I don't care about Austin Eckler in DFS this week because I think his usage came from need.
Okay.
Last year, I will say that the Dolphins gave up the seventh most receiving yards to running backs. But the problem I have with betting against the Dolphins defense is Vic Fangio is my guy. I believe in him being able to make that defense a lot better. So I don't know that the looks are going to be there. I was flirting with the Justin Herbert over at 290.5 passing yards because the Dolphins last year gave up the the fifth most passing yards to opposing quarterbacks, and I think Kellen Moore is going to sling it, but that line's a little bit too high for me to feel comfortable with in week 1.
And if you're a Vic Fangio guy, you know that you'd be betting against that.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I don't know that this defense, the changing coaching staff, and there is enough talent there in the Dolphins. I want to see how they look the first couple of weeks before I start making any choices.
Okay. All right. So let's move on. We've been waiting all day for Sunday night. We have Dallas going into New York to play the Giants. Dallas are 3.5 point road favorites. A Giants home win money line is plus 152, and the total is 45.5. I got nothing on this. Go off, Ryan.
The only really line that I'm looking at this is Daniel Jones rushing yards 31.5. That seems low for Jones, but it could be adjusted just because Dallas defense is supposed to be really good this year.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of hesitant to bet that, but I might. I think Dallas emerges with the win in this game, although since it is an NFC East matchup, it's probably going to be a pretty good Sunday night game. At least I'm hoping. And guess what? Waller is hurt, so that gives my boy Bellinger some chance to do something. Even though there's no lines up, there might be tomorrow afternoon, but the lines
Well,
are real lax right now because
there is one
his
lineup for Daniel
what
Bellinger.
there is
Plus 650 anytime touchdown.
really
I'm
Yeah.
not. There's no way I'm
I'm
no
not.
taking
yeah
I'm not. Actually, the line that
no
I like a little bit is I wanted to see what is the Cowboys. Oh, do we not have a Cowboys defensive touchdown?
it should be there. But what did
Oh,
they
there
say?
at plus 500. There is a Cowboys anytime defensive touchdown prop, which is interesting. I'm going to be honest. The line that I was actually looking at that I'm probably not going to. I have a bet. I have a couple of parlays. One of the ones I did for the money line for the New York Giants is I think I don't think it's a given that the Cowboys just come in and roll. I think I'm a big believer in Brian Dable. So, and this is his second year as that coach. I think that money line Giants at home, week one, you don't know what's going to happen. I think that could be a fun line to take. Other than that, I'm kind of fading this game.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, so I just looked it up. Darren Waller, uh, it's a hamstring injury, and if you've been listening to the podcast last few weeks, you all know that I predicted Cooper Kupp's hamstring debacle. Um, Hamstrings are nagging. All right, what was the number, Tony? 38%.
38%, 38% recur. And also, it should be noted that while we were recording, they just put Cooper Cup on IR.
Are you serious?
Yep, Cooper Cup
Oh
is
my
out for
God.
at least the first 4 games.
Waleed, are you current with our pod yet, or no?
I'm a couple episodes behind.
Okay, so yeah, the last few you'll be able to hear my
Oh, I heard
conversations
you. I
about.
heard you talk about Cooper Cup. I
Okay.
still bought him for $25. $25 for Cooper Cup.
Are
Like
you
that team was disgusting.
are you serious, Tony? They just put him on IR. I knew something was up when they wasn't with the team and he went to see a body specialist in Minnesota. I was like, what the hell's going on?
I mean, he could have just come over here and seen a real body specialist. All right, so last but not least, let's hit up our Monday night game. I don't think there's anything really posted for this, is there?
No, not yet.
We've seen actually there are some lines, but nothing too crazy. So Monday night, Buffalo goes to New York. Aaron Rodgers playing in New York on 9/11. The script is on fire. Bills are 2.5-point road favorites. A Jets upset at home is plus 118, and the line is 45.5. I'm just gonna open it up because not a lot's posted. What do you guys think?
Or wait, actually,
Oh, there's a few things
they did
posted,
just
actually.
post some stuff. There
We got
wasn't
passing, rushing,
before
receiving
noon. There
props.
wasn't. I like Josh Allen's rushing yards at 35.5.
35 and a half
I'm
rushing
definitely
total
gonna
for
bet
Josh
that.
Allen.
I'm
That
definitely
line is
betting
too
that.
fucking low.
Right.
So that's what I'm looking at. The other one I was looking at here, this is a guy I've been like just banging a drum for all off season. Gabe Davis, 46.5. I like that over for him. I think I actually also like 2.5. I don't really care. I think Buffalo was decimated with injuries last year. I think Buffalo, at least now that they're healthy, you got Von Miller back, that defense. I'm taking Buffalo minus 2.5. I like them a lot here.
Yeah,
Anybody believe in Kincaid this year? His line seems low.
I'm not touching him.
I'm
I
not
love
betting it. I'm not betting it because I don't know how they're going to use him. But
in Dynasty, everyone's acting like Dalton Kincaid is going to be like their slot guy or number 2 guy. But Gabe Davis is their number 2 receiver. He had like almost, what did he have, like 900 yards receiving last year? 800, something like that?
I think so.
Yeah, I want Gabe Davis.
Okay.
How about Diggs line? Too much? 69.5?
69.5. Actually, I kind of like it too. But like Sauce Gardner is kind of good.
Thank you.
Garrett Wilson at 69.5, also kind of interesting to me. But when it comes down to it, I think I'd rather take the lower line with Gabe Davis because I think he's going to get his looks.
Okay.
I think if the Jets are smart, they try to match up Sauce as much as they can on Stephon Diggs.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and even though everyone was crazy about how Sauce never got beaten in man coverage last year, it's because people don't understand how cover three works in the NFL. And so watching Chase Claypool absolutely moss Sauce Gardner last year shows me that Sauce can be beaten by bigger, more physical guys at the point of catch. So I'm super not against that Gabe Davis line.
Yeah.
So let's
I
go
like
through
it.
our bets. Let's go through our bets. Why don't we do our bets of the week first? Waleed, your 5 bets of the week.
All right, so my top 5 bets of the week: Drake London over 52.5. If you try to get the line now, I got him at 51.5. I want that Drake London receiving over. I got Chris Olave at 66.5. The line's now 68.5. Regardless, I was going to smash that over for Chris Olave. Cam Akers over 12.5 receiving yards. I love that line. I also like the Titans money line at plus 130 and the 49ers Steelers under 41.5.
Okay, Ryan, give me your 5 bets of the week.
Top 5 bets of the week. Let's see. So I had Lawrence over 12.5 rushing yards. I had a Christian Kirk anytime touchdown. I have Justin Fields over for rush yards at 59.5. Brian Robinson, 58.5 rush yards. And Hawkinson's over at 50.5 reception yards.
Okay. My top 5 bets of the week are Bryce Young, 1 interception or more. Tyler Lockett over 55.5 receiving yards. TJ Hawkinson over 49.5 receiving yards. Calvin Ridley over 63.5 receiving yards. And Jacksonville Indy to go under 46.5. Waleed, your parlays, please.
So my same game parlay, I went Derek Carr over 244.5 passing yards, Chris Olave over 66.5 receiving yards, along with the Chris Olave anytime touchdown. I love Chris Olave this year, and I threw on Derek Carr to make it a 3-leg just to give me a little bit of juice because I think if Chris Olave has a good game, there's a good chance that Derek Carr is throwing for over 250 receiving yards or
Sure.
250 passing yards.
Sure.
My regular parlay, I went all rookie interceptions. We went Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, all having an interception. I got plus 367 on that, $10 bet, makes me $46.67. I forgot to say my odds on the same game parlay with Carr and Olave. 5 units at 382 gives me $19.10.
Okay.
Damn, I like that. I like that rookie parlay. That's pretty inventive. I like that.
All right. So
it's inspired by Tony.
There we go, baby. So Ryan, tell me about your parlays this week.
So I did money lines. I took Baltimore, Minnesota, Jacksonville, Seattle, and Washington. That turned out to be plus 386 at 5 units, gets about $20. Then my same game parlay, I went with the Jacksonville game. Lawrence is over at 12.5, a Kirk anytime touchdown, the Jacksonville money line, and Ingram's over at 38.5 reception yards. That was plus 1150. I did 3 units to get about 35.
Okay. My money line parlay: Jacksonville, Philly, Minnesota, Baltimore. For such dominant favorites, I'm pretty surprised that I got plus 277 on that.
That's true. Yeah.
So I threw 5 on it, and it brought me to 1887. My same game parlay is in the Baltimore-Houston game. I have Baltimore's money line, Dobbins over 62.5 rushing yards, and CJ Stroud under 1.5 pass touchdowns. Ryan, tell me your millionaire bet of the week.
So I went a little bit bold. Normally
Classic.
but I wanted to get this season off to a good start. So I did the Christian Kirk anytime touchdown with my $10 bet at 145 will leave me with 2450 if it happens.
Okay. So, Waleed?
I am trying to overthrow the People's Republic, Democratic Republic of Gambletown, and instill martial law. And the only way to do that is if Drake London has over 70 receiving yards at plus 178. $10 bet will make me $27.80.
Okay. And as the current commissar of the Democratic People's Republic of Gambletown, we're going to go a little modest here. We're going to take not a great leap forward, but a small step forward. I'm taking the Eagles -4 at -110, which would bring me to $19.09. I'm not gonna lie to you guys though, I totally did the profit boost on this on FanDuel, so I'm gonna make like 28 if it hits.
Oh,
Um,
Okay.
my same game parlay also profit boosted.
that's beautiful. So, all right, so those are our gambling lines. So, do you guys want to break for a couple before we DFS, or do you want to just power through?
I think we should power through.
I'm
Like,
with it, man.
yeah, like we're only going like we're not going to be as into the DFS show. Basically, what you're going to get from us here, we're all going to have our DFS plays. We're going to give you each one guy we like at each position for DFS this week. Then we're going to do our matchup. We're now opening up this year. We got a football absurdity DFS league. $1 every week. We all go up against each other. Top third percent, the top third of everyone who wins. How do I say that? Top third pays out. So if
Yep,
you're in the top
top three.
33%, you make money. Otherwise, you lose money. So you get to play against us. It'll be fun. That's going to be our communal thing instead of a millionaire challenge. Although if I get that sheet up, we'll do that this year too.
All right, so why don't you tell us your guys? Well, let's go quarterback first. Who's your guy at quarterback, Waleed?
So honestly, my favorite quarterback of the week, paying up. I just want Justin Herbert. I think the Dolphins gave up a lot of passing yards last year. I think Kellen Moore is a huge upgraded offensive coordinator, and frankly, I think this could be Justin Herbert's MVP year. I like my two favorite guys for MVP this year are Justin Herbert and Justin Fields. I'm all in on Justin.
Okay.
Great minds think alike, Waleed, because that's who I plugged into this lineup was Justin Herbert.
Okay, well, if you got a Herbert, if you don't mind, I'll throw a different quarterback out there. Another
yeah.
quarterback I kind of like. I like Tua this week. If I'm being honest, he's a little bit cheaper, but I think Tua was a baller before he was concussed last year. I think at least
Sure.
this is like the 1 week I know I can get a share of it, so I kind of want one.
Okay.
I was gonna say I do like Kirk Cousins too. We were saying we paired him with Hawkinson.
I am going to. I was torn between two, but I want to pay down a little bit, and I'm going to go with Geno Smith at 7,200 as my quarterback this week. I think, you know, the Rams have already curled up into the fetal position.
Yeah,
and their defense, they are starting 8 rookies on defense this week.
Wow.
So give me Geno at quarterback. All right, Waleed, your running back.
Okay, so my running back this week, honestly, the guy I really just wanted and I'm gonna get, I just want Bijan. I'm paying up for Bijan this week. 7,800. My logic is basically Bijan Robinson is the best college running back I've watched since Adrian Peterson. He is the fucking truth.
Yep.
Like, and I want to get him while he is still as cheap as he is because I think his price is only going to go up, and I'm getting him at that price while I can.
Is Bijan Robinson him?
He is him.
He is him. All right, Ryan, who's your running back?
Well, I mean, someone I have a lot of exposure to because he's only 6,400 is Brian Robinson, who's gonna most likely have a really good game against this Arizona team.
It's an excellent choice with that matchup.
I agree.
Yeah, if I'm paying up, I do like Derrick Henry this week. He's statistically not as expensive as he has been in the past, where he's hovered around the 10,000 line. He's only 8,500, so you can work him into some good lineups this week.
And more importantly, he's Derrick Henry.
Right, exactly.
I'm also taking a slightly below salary guy as my running back of the week. I am sticking with J.K. Dobbins versus Houston. I do believe the change in system means, hey, this dude, we're going to spread the fucking field. You're going to actually have to cover our wide receivers. So why don't you go ahead and put some money on J.K. Dobbins there to do well. So then your wide receiver, Wally, keep it going.
Well, I want to point out, I knew you were going to, the minute I heard the DFS thing, I knew J.K. Dobbins was going to be a running back, like when we were doing the lines for the gambling. So I'm not surprised. So my guy, this should be no surprise to anyone who just listens to my Millionaire Challenge bet. I want Drake London. Drake London's price is, where is Drake London's price? I'm still scrolling down. 6,200.
That's
That's
incredibly
a
cheap.
really really cheap line for a guy that I've already said I think is going to finish in the top 12 this year. But it's one of those things where I want to get him while he's still cheap, and he's got like game breaking ability.
Okay. Ryan, your wide receiver.
I mean, I like so many this week.
Let's say Christian Kirk. We all know you want to.
Yeah, I like I like Kirk. I like Olave. I like Jamar Chase.
Pick one.
Well, I
Who's the
thought we
guy that
were.
you think can
I
have the
thought
best week this week?
I thought we were looking at our lineups, but okay.
We're just picking our favorite, like one of our favorite plays at a position.
Yeah,
We
Deku,
will
Deku, we'll do a Sunday Million lineup together here real quick after this is done. But right now we're running through our top plays at each position. So let's catch you up real quick. Waleed and Ryan's quarterback this week that they prefer both said Justin Herbert. I went with Geno Smith. Waleed's running back was Bijan Robinson. Ryan's running back was Brian Robinson, and my running back was J.K. Dobbins. Waleed is on Drake London as his number one guy. Ryan is talking through his number one guy as we speak.
Yeah.
Who's gonna have the best week? Pick your guy.
The best week?
I mean,
Probably
who's
Jamar
your
Chase.
favorite guy this week? Yeah, Jamar Chase.
Probably Jamar Chase, but if you're paying down and looking for someone that's under $7,000, Christian Kirk will be better value.
Okay, at 6,900, and I am also going to go cheap here. I've been hammering Tyler Lockett all week, so I'm going to go and go with Tyler Lockett here. So I've got two Seahawks on my
Tyler
four.
Lockett at 6,800, stacking it with Geno. I love it.
Yep. All right, Waleed, your tight end.
My tight end, very simple. He was the guy I talked about. He just missed a cut for my top 5. But last year, the Seahawks, they gave up like the most fantasy points to opposing tight ends, second most yards. Give me Tyler Higbee with no Cooper Kupp at 5,300. I'm still paying down a little bit, but I feel like I got top 5 upside.
Okay, Ryan.
I'm going super value this week. Guy we talked about from the Chicago Bears game. I'm going Luke Musgrave because he's only 4,500 and it affords me so much more opportunities to pay up at other positions.
Ooh, I love it.
Okay, so I am not going to flirt with the bullshit. I'm going to go with TJ Hawkinson as my tight end play of the week. So let's recap our 4. Waleed's 4. Justin Herbert, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Tyler Higbee. Ryan's 4. Justin Herbert, Brian Robinson, Jamar Chase, and Luke Musgrave. And then mine are Geno Smith, J.K. Dobbins, Tyler Lockett, and T.J. Hawkinson.
And now for the league, I'm letting you know what my team is going to be here. I'm going to start off. You'll start seeing it on the screen. Then I'll start adding other people for here. Did it not switch tabs over? That's interesting. Hold on. I'm looking at the screen. It still shows the gambling thing. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to switch something up on the screen here. No,
okay.
It is. It is on that screen. That is so weird. All right, sorry. I'm trying to make sure he can see what I'm putting on the screen, but for some reason it's not showing up, and I don't know why, even though it's... I assume Josh is working on it. Well, anyway. So quarterback, I already told you who my guy is going to be, Justin Herbert. Running back, I went Bijan Robinson for one of my running backs. My second running back, I'm going to pay up for Josh Jacobs because I like that Denver matchup. I think that Jacobs is going to get a lot of usage. And I want a nice floor because all my receivers are cheaper guys. I went upside. Now, first receiver, you already know it, is Drake London. On top of Drake London, I like me some DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore is a nice cheap value. I think he's going to do well. I don't feel comfortable enough to bet some sports lines, but I want DJ Moore exposure because I think he's going to have a pretty solid game. And the other guy that I need to have, that I want to have, Chris Olave against the Tennessee Titans. Oh my God, that's such a tasty matchup. The Titans gave up so many yards to opposing receivers last year. You can't go wrong. Now we're going Tyler Higbee, like I mentioned. I think he's got top 5 upside and a 5,300. I'm saving a lot of money. That lets me get another guy that I talked about on the gambling show, and that is a man by the name of Jahan Dotson.
Okay.
There we go. Now that leaves me some money for defense. I'm gonna have a little bit of money left over. I like the matchup. Saints against the Titans. That's going to be my streaming defense of the week. Although, you know what? I'm actually going to maybe call an audible. What do I have left? 45? I'm actually going to call an audible here. I'm going Falcons defense against the Carolina Panthers. Rookie quarterback. I think that might actually end up being a little bit more favorable to me because I actually have the Titans winning at my money line. And I had them as a good streaming option. They're a good defense, but I like Atlanta's matchup a little bit better. And I have a little bit of money to spend, so we're going with that. So my final lineup, Justin Herbert, Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs, Drake London, DJ Moore, Chris Olave, Tyler Higbee, Jahan Dotson, and the Atlanta Falcons defense.
Okay. We'll run through our lineups really quick, and then we'll talk about Deku's lineup that he put in the chat. Ryan, what's your contest lineup?
All right. So right now it's looking like we all know I had Herbert. I've got Derrick Henry. I've got Brian Robinson. I have Chris Olave. I have Christian Kirk. I have Jamar Chase. I have Luke Musgrave as my tight end. Then I have the de facto starting running back in Indy, Hull, at 5,100.
I love that.
Oh, what a nice play.
Yep. And then I have the Jacksonville defense.
Okay. My lineup is Geno Smith, J.K. Dobbins, Brian Robinson, Tyler Lockett, Chris Olave, Chris Godwin as a sneaky little pivot there, T.J. Hawkinson as the run back here, Aaron Jones at my flex, and the Falcons defense. Now, let's talk about Deku's lineup here. Deku's proposed lineup is Tua, J.K. Dobbins, Derrick Henry, Drake London, Christian Kirk, Jamar Chase, Tyler Higbee, Ezekiel Elliott with some question marks, and Baltimore's defense. Now,
I like that.
The only thing I don't like, I'm on the fence about Tua and I'm on the fence about Zeke, and let me explain why real quick. So we talked about this when we were planning our Superflex lineup last night. You got to stack, right? You have to stack your quarterback with someone. And the reason why Tua doesn't get me excited as a DFS play is because you also have to pay up so significantly to get either Waddle or Hill. That's my struggle. If you're willing to do a naked quarterback play and not have a stack, I don't mind Tua, but I'm looking at your lineup and like I wouldn't mind putting in a Trevor Lawrence or because let's see how different Tua and Trevor are. Tua's 77, Trevor's 8. Tua's not bad at 7,700. I'm not gonna lie, but I would want to stack, so I would be looking at maybe Trevor Lawrence or who else you got? You got Chase and London. I don't want to start Ritter. No. I don't. Burrow's expensive at 79. But hear me out. Hear me out about this. So Tua being 7,700, Burrow is 7,900, right? And so if your running back saving is at Zeke for 5,400 and you need to cut $200, Evan Hull is 5,100.
And he could end up being the lead back in Indy this week.
Right.
I think it's between him and Deion Jackson, and I think it's gonna be Hull. Like I like the reason you want Zeke is because he could fall forward into the end zone. And I worry about Philly's defense and New England's offensive line returning Zeke points. So if you're hope for Zeke's ceiling in this game is what, 9 points, 10 points?
That Eagles run defense last year was pretty damn good.
It was. So I would replace, if it was me, I think replacing Zeke with Evan Hull and then upgrading from Tua to Trevor Lawrence, who's going to be throwing to Christian Kirk, would be probably my favorite move if I had to pick one.
Yeah, I think adding the Burrow stack is a little bit nicer too. Also, there's still a little bit of risk with Tua. Like, I like him. He was the guy I actually mentioned outside of Herbert. I was eyeing Tua, but at the same time, I feel like he's just one hit away from not playing, and That's
And they
serious.
lost their offensive line, the offensive tackle, their
Teron
best
Armstead.
player. And I think about, like, Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa and how dangerous that defense can be when they're all healthy. And thank God it's week 1, they're still healthy.
Yeah.
Sure.
The Chargers are a top 2 team in this league when everyone's healthy. The problem is they don't stay healthy.
Yeah, because their training staff is a bottom 2
Correct.
league.
Correct. So that is, I believe that's the show, you guys.
That is the show, guys.
Hell yeah.
Hey,
That's
thank you for joining us in Gambletown. The
Great
weather's
start.
lovely here.
Yeah, and let's talk next week. We'll talk about our results. Deku, come back, share how your Millie lineup went. I don't know if
Also,
they.
Deku, you should also join the league. I posted it in the Discord.
Oh, yeah.
See how your lineup does against us, because we do have the Football Absurdity DFS league.
Bring it on.
Yeah, the more the merrier, and it's only $1.
Deku,
Okay,
the
okay.
kicker streaming articles are gone. Like,
Do you want to
there's no
hear?
option.
Do you want to hear my theory? So we
Yeah.
talked about this off air, and FanDuel no longer has the kicker lineups.
Yeah.
And so for season long, Waleed will probably still talk kicker stuff, but for FanDuel, they don't have the kicker lineups anymore, and I think it's because it was the For the Brand Kicker Challenge, so it was a Pat McAfee thing, and now that McAfee is in ESPN and they're opening their own sports book, I think there's a chance that we won't see any more kicker line or kicker contests in FanDuel going forward. That would be my guess.
They may in the future do something, but they're gonna have to rename it. They're gonna have to maybe change the format. I don't know if can you tell a certain sports book or DFS site to not set a roster a certain way?
I'm not sure, but Deku says that they also value the kicker post for their season-long fantasy team. So
We will
Waleed,
have-
keep it
I
coming.
will have kicker information. I will have thoughts on how to stream kickers, but it's not going to be until at least 4 weeks into the season when I have more data.
Which makes sense. So let's call it a day, friends. That was a great episode of season 3, and we'll come back next week and with our monocles and talk about how rich we are.
Sounds
Oh,
good.
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, for super producer Josh, Ryan, Waleed, I'm Tony. Good luck.
Yeah.
Week 1,
Yeah.
baby. We made it.
Hell yeah! I'm so excited for tomorrow. Sunday, fun day.
Waiting all day for Sunday nights. And
All right,
Sunday
everyone.
afternoon.